Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Please make sure you hit the likety like button on the way in, please. Make sure you find it and hit that thumbs up or double tap on the screen. I had to pull out my dark rum for this review. Okay. Uh yeah, you guys. What the F happened? That's the way I'm gonna start. What in the F happened? I was proud of where they were going for the past couple of episodes. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely want your input. Do you feel, in your opinion, was the season finale underwhelming or overwhelming? Do you feel it gave you everything you were expecting or everything you wanted, or things that maybe you didn't expect but you were thoroughly entertained? I need answers. I'm going to do the review and you guys let me know. But as far as I see it, by the time I drink this dark rum and go through this review, I don't know what I'm going to say. So viewers' discretion advised. Okay. So this is my review on Raising Kanan, season 4, episode 10, the series finale called Gimme the Weight. Okay. So we start off with Kanan tearing up his already raggedy project apartment. All right. Now, I don't know why he's not at the newer apartment, but he's at the older apartment and he's tearing things up because, of course, Juke has told him that Crystal is a goner, gone. Okay. Now, he even cries. He has lost it at this point. And I think that Crystal is just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back with everything else that's been going on. So because of that, he loses it. All right. And he even kind of falls in Juke's arms and starts crying. Okay. And so at that point, we definitely know that he is going to seek revenge. And I think we can already guess on who he's trying to seek revenge on. Meanwhile, Rock is still at Nick's spot and pretty much is telling him that he needs to leave her son alone. He needs to leave Kanan alone. And Nick is like, I know this B.I. didn't come in here trying to tell me what to do. First of all, you are a horrible mother. And guess what, Lou? I don't think you knew this, but I was tapping that Aya. And she used to call me daddy. Of course, Lou didn't know. That's why he immediately cut his eyes and was like, how is it that we was beefing with him, but you was giving him booty at the same time? And so at that point, he's like, look, at the end of the day, your son is now your enemy. And he wants my protection so you can stay the hell away from him. So at this point, you could tell Rock, which she normally keeps her cool. And she kept her cool, but her eyes were saying everything. Like she really, if she had something right then and there, if he didn't have his soldiers, she would have lost it on him. So at that point, he pretty much says, look, your son is your enemy and your son wants to work with me and get protection away from you. And at the end of the day, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. And so Rock sits up there and says, you got family too, Nick. You got family. So you may want to be mindful about, you know what I'm saying, where this could possibly go. So, of course, Neek hears that, but he ain't scared. So he's like, whatever. At the end of the day, it's pretty much me against you. So when they walk out, she tells Lou, make him drop to his knees, find out where Pernessa is and that son is. All right. So with that being said, we already know where this is definitely going to go next season between them. Meanwhile, Kanan, of course, is telling Juke, you know my mother offed her. You know my mother offed all of them. And Juke is like, what does Crystal have to do with business, though? Like, so he says Snaps and Pops told him about Fame often, Rock off and Fame. And so she could understand it, I guess, to a certain extent. But Juke is like, Crystal's not adding up. What would be the point of her doing that? And so he's like, what's the point of her doing anything, Juke? I'm really over my mother is to blame for everything at this point. I'm kind of over it. At this point, it's giving you're on my last nerves. It's giving the way Ghost was by the end of the season, the series. I could not stand Ghost. And for me, if you're going to be the main character, I still need to root for you in some kind of way. And I'm not rooting for Kanan at this point. He's getting on my last nerve. As far as I see it, I need for Juke to be the main character. But he's not thinking. And so at this point, he's like ready for war. He does not care what anybody thinks at this point. And so, honestly, where do I see it going? Where I hope it doesn't go is what happened in the first Power. If we have another child unaliving his parent, I'm done with this series. I'm done with the show. I don't want to see another Power because how many of the same storylines are we going to get? So I'm hoping they're not going to do that. But at this point, the way that this ended, I don't know. Hey, Steven, hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button. So at that point, we'll have to see when it comes to that. But Marvin, scared as hell, shaking like a stripper, he's nervous and he wants to go talk to Stefano. And so he sits there and he's like, look, I didn't know that was your people. If I knew that was your people, it would have never happened. And Stefano's like, yeah. But at the end of the day, you vouched for that dude. It's no reason for him to lie because you said that you vouched for him. You gave your word. And at the end of the day, I'm stupid letting your freaking sister come in here with a pretty face and me thinking with my peen versus my actual top head. And so he was like, but you know what? I'm done. He's like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? There's no more business for you, no more trucks or whatever the case may be. And Marvin is begging to fix it, begging to fix it. But Stefano's like, man, get this freaking fool up out of here. I have nothing else to do with him. So meanwhile, Lou actually is following Pernessa, her mother, and they end up going to a hospital. Now, what I find interesting to me in this situation is we clearly know that Unique antennas went up when she threatened the family. For the life of me, I'm not understanding why they don't have more muscle. I don't understand. Like, once that happens, I don't know any soldier in general, even a military soldier, but definitely a street soldier. Why don't they have literally so many people right now around all of them? Okay. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But Lou is able to follow them with no issue, and follows them to the hospital and just waits there and sits. So when he finally sees Pernessa and her mom coming out, he sees Pernessa go into one car and the mom and one bodyguard goes into another car. And so Lou ends up finding Pernessa and she ends up going into an apartment complex. So at this point, he knows that's where Pernessa and that boy lay their head. All right. So we definitely know where that was going to go, but it just wasn't realistic for Unique to not have all of that muscle. All of his muscle is at the damn tailor. Why aren't they with your child and Pernessa? Especially your child. I mean, we know you don't care about Pernessa, but we know you care about that child. So why don't you have your muscle there? Doesn't make sense to me, but moving on. So Rock ends up going to King Takeout and having a meeting, and he says, too many of my people are unalive. Oh, thank you, Crypto Boys. Make sure you hit the like button. He said, too many of my people are unalived. And at this point, I'm done. And Rock was like, I'll give you more money. And he was like, that ain't gonna do nothing. I'm done with you. And she was like, well, how about I hurt your family? Will that get you to fall back in line? And he said, guess what, heifer? I sent them all back to China. I'm the only one here. So then he gives this actual great story about how she doesn't realize that she is an actual monster. All right. And for whatever reason, one thing about the actual actor that plays Rock, her acting skills without saying a word is amazing to me, because you saw it all in her face, that aha moment, like, maybe I am a demon. That's why her and Neek was getting along so well, because they both evil as all hell. But the difference is Neek actually, to me, has more of a code than Rock does. But now that his head is halfway caved in, he ain't thinking straight either, because his brain is crushed from what his brother did. But with that being said, that was a great line when he said, you don't even realize how much of a monster you are. So moving on. So then we have Kanan going to his grandmother's grave, talking about how he couldn't see her like that, but mainly pretty much trying to apologize to her in advance about what he's about to do. I'm telling y'all, I'm so over this narrative. Like, you mean to tell me you hate your mother that much? The same guy in the first season who was crying about how he didn't want his mama to be unalive is now willing to go there with his mother. Is that realistic to you guys? Like, real talk. Is it realistic to you? Please let me know, because it's not realistic to me. But moving on. So with that, we have the pig Garcia, of course, harassing Jukebox again. And she's at the pizza spot. And so he was like, so this girl that you asked me about, what was you asking about her for? Because it seems a little suspicious. And they're saying that a Black woman left the apartment where they last saw Crystal, and you are a Black woman. You meet the description. I'm like, yeah, because you think we all look alike, right? Because it can't be another Black woman. So at that point, she's like, yeah, you're right, I do, but kiss my ass, and kept it moving. But in the back of her mind, she's thinking, did my aunt do this? Because it's the Black woman. But I'm starting to think, Juke, you allowing your emotions to get ahead of you like Kanan, because you literally just said earlier that Pop and Snaps was messing with Kanan's head. So why wouldn't you think that Pops, being a Black woman, could possibly be the one? But again, she's allowing Kanan's emotions to get to her, which is not a Juke move. She's very strategic. She's always been very strategic, and she's always been a thinker and not based off of her emotions like Kanan. So the old demon couple, and yes, I'm calling them the old demon couple, Pop and Snaps, they literally think that because they sat up there and told Kanan that Rock off fame, that would kind of give them free reign. And at this point, he would kind of just have his mind on his mother doing the evil deeds. But at this point, it's almost kind of like doing the opposite, because now he's like, I want to know what the F happened to Crystal. So now they like, damn, we was trying to sit up there and get to mess with his mind and sit up there and say, okay, your mother did this, but now he's focused on Crystal, and we clearly know who offed Crystal. So Pops and Pops and Snacks. That's what I damn need right now, a snack while I'm drinking this damn rum. But Pops and Snaps is like, yeah, we want you to work with Neek and our nephew. I think it would be a good situation. And I believe they also said that they had their own connect. Did they not say that? I believe they did. I believe they said they had their own freaking connect when they was talking to Kanan. And Kanan's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, you think I'm young? You think you could sit up there and pretty much control me? And they pretty much butter him up like, no, you got the keys to the kingdom. You got this mind and all of this hoopla. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with these two next season. But then Neek ends up going to Teresa's house, like he actually cares about her. And he's talking to her about how Rock threatened his child and his baby mother. And so Teresa at this point is like, I need to talk to Phil, you know what I'm saying? Because of Sal, what happened to Sal? Like, I'm going to make sure that no one ever touches your family or anyone else's family. Because you know, with them, family is supposed to be off limit. Kids are supposed to be off limits as well as women. So at that point, he's like, God bless you, and walks away. Very strategic, but do you think Neek will really even take the time to be at that woman's house? And realistically, in real life, Teresa wouldn't give a damn about no ninja like Neek. Let's just keep it 100. But we're going to roll with it, I guess. So moving on. Marvin, guess what he does? He makes another dumbass move. He ends up offing Stanford and Son, the garage man, the garbage man. He ends up offing him and his friend. Again, did I see a silencer on that bad boy? No. Was it loud as hell? Sound like to me. Looks like he was a freaking in the motel, hotel, Holiday Inn. And literally, he ends up offing someone again. No one hears it. No one comes outside. No one sits up there and yell. None of that. He just offing people left and right and still haven't gotten caught, I guess. So Rock and Juke talk. Now, this scene to me was very powerful. Juke is questioning Rock now and pretty much like, what happened? What happened with Fame? What happened with Crystal? So Rock is like, I would have never done anything to Fame. He pretty much stayed with us for like a year when his mom and his sister was in a shelter. So then at that point, she was like, well, what happened to Crystal? And Rock was like, what would I gain doing something to Crystal? I told y'all she came over there and she said she was going to the bus stop. So then at that point, Juke is just kind of looking at her like she damn near police. And Rock said, you better watch what you say to me. Like, you got to be careful what you say to me because you ain't no child no more. So be careful what you say to me and understand what you're saying at the same time. And then child, Juke eyes start changing and she look at her inner demon comes out and she pretty much says, yeah, I'm not a child. Y'all forgot I was around the whole entire time. You didn't even notice me. But when you did notice me, it's because I was next to Kanan. And at that point, she's like, I noticed everything. I just never really said anything. And Rock is like, I don't know where this is coming from, but you know what? You just like your father, sloppy. And she said, I'd rather be like him than you. And she ends up walking off. So now this is starting the slight beef between Rock and Juke. And as evil as Juke gets by the end of her life, it is very possible that she could be the one who offs Rock, but we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Phil and Stefano end up talking one-on-one by themselves, trying to blame the Black people and how working with them has pretty much ruined everything. But Stefano had to give a reminder that it was your New Jersey ass who came to my turf in Queens trying to do business. If you would have never done that, none of this would have happened. So meanwhile, Stefano is pretty much telling Phil the truth, and Soprano don't want to hear that. And he makes it seem like, you know what, let's make amends. Let's, you know what I'm saying, start off straight. Let's start off, you know, narrow. I'm done with Queens. I will remove myself from Queens and go back to Jersey. Stefano thinks he's a man of his word. Baby Phil takes out that pokey and slices and dice. Do you hear me? Slices and dice him. Now, at that point, Stefano's eyes is bulging out big, and pretty much Phil is like, yeah, I don't ask for nothing. I take. And he leaves him there. Now, here's the problem, though. We didn't see him stop breathing. So at that point, when he was just there holding his side, I was like, something is telling me that we don't know for sure if he's unalived or if he's coming back. I was like, this is not a for sure. We have to actually see people and see them not breathing for at least 3 seconds on the damn show for us to say, okay, they're officially gone. So at that point, we have Kanan and Lou, and they end up talking because he ends up going to the club, and Kanan was like, I can't believe you starting to work with my mother again. You of all people, the way she's treated you. And Lou is like, look, At the end of the day, that's my family. We all family. You can't change that. And he was like, well, at the end of the day, I don't want nothing to do with her. Of course, Kanan being a big ass baby. And so he was like, she sat up there in all fame. And Lou was like, who told you that? And he was like, don't matter. She did it to D Wiz. And he said, I did D Wiz. He said, see, the part of being a man is being responsible and taking accountability for your own shit. I am the one who still have to do it at the end of the day. And then so for the life of me though, while he was giving him that story, because pretty much he was saying, look, you're old enough to know that if you did not want to go down this path, no matter how much your mother was trying to tell you to, you didn't have to do it. You're a grown ass man, so you've made your own decisions. But he decided to give an example about the grandmother and how the grandmother wanted to be offed. She wanted someone to take her out, and Marvin and Lou could not do it because he says they were too selfish to do it, right? And he said, but you know who did do it? Your mother. Yeah, your mother is more of a man than any ninja you know. Why did he tell Kanan that Rock offed his grandmother? Help me understand, because he said she did it to give her peace. If you already hear that this little boy, because he has a little boy mentality, is still upset with his mommy about every freaking thing, why would you add that? Am I the only one tripping off of that? Why would you add that information in there? To me, that would make him more emotional and more pissed off. But y'all let me know. But I just found that to be weird. I just was like, why would you tell him that? Now he's going to have another reason to sit up there and claim that, you know, his mother is dirt and evil, and he's not. He's just a victim in every freaking situation. So the manager from the group, Butter, ends up sitting down and talking to Isha and Juke. And of course, she found out about Crystal, and she just wanted to check in with them to see how they were doing mentally, spiritually, and everything. And Isha was like, well, Crystal and Kanan ended up talking, and yeah, they ended up being kind of friends after that. And so Juke was like, hell nah, friends, that ain't the case. But the manager was like, Juke, baby, like, what's wrong with you? Like, you not the same person. Like, you just don't seem like you're there. And Juke was like, no, I've always been this way. And yeah, this is just pretty much the way I'm going to be at this point. F-less and heartless, because it is what it is. Now, I have a feeling something's about to happen to Isha too. The way they have it set up, it seems like it's inevitable that something is about to happen to Isha. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But with that being said, Marvin goes to Rock. Yes, he goes to Rock. And pretty much she says he's the ultimate F-up. And he's like, you know what? Ain't none of us perfect. And you sitting up there acting like you perfect. We all make mistakes. And she was like, yeah, but your mistakes are top tier. And you've always been jealous of your little sister. And ever since I took control of everything, you've always been trying to get ahead of me. And he said, you know what? F this and F you. And so she's still talking mess. That's when you know you pissed. He done left the freaking house, done shut the door, and she's still talking for a good minute or two when he clearly ain't even in the house no more. Okay. Now, the way they had this set up, this episode, I knew for sure this was Marvin's last freaking episode. And I ain't even done with all of the things that they pretty much had set up in favor of Marvin being taken out. So Isha and Juke get freaky again, and this time Juke is saying that she is supposed to stay in New York City. At first, she did not want to stay there because Isha was like, with your grades, like, you should definitely come to Spelman. And she was like, yeah, no, I'm going to stay here. And she was like, you didn't even want to stay in New York. Now you're going to stay here. Like, what's going on? And so at that point, Juke says her father is there and her dad has her back. And as stubborn as he is, he was willing to change for her. And she says, my dad needs me. And he didn't leave her. So she can't leave him. Y'all, if that didn't sound like a eulogy, did that not sound like a eulogy? Because it's poetic if she says all of that to stay and then he ends up leaving her, not a fault of his own, but well, actually fault of his own, but thinking that he was going to get taken out or he was going to go to prison. So when she said that, she was like, yeah, I got to stay here for my father. And finally, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Pop and Snaps finally introduced Kanan to their nephew, Bradford Freddy or whatever they said his last name is, aka Breeze. We have finally met Breeze on the show, the official introduction. All right. And Breeze is fine as hell. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So I can't wait to see him next season because he's gonna be a nice little piece of freaking candy for me to look at. So with that being said, one thing that Pop and Snaps mess up saying, and Kanan caught it, is that they were saying that Neek has to connect with the Italians and saying that they need him at least for short term, because Breeze was like, yeah, what happened to the other guy you was talking about you gonna introduce me to? And he was like, oh yeah, Neek. Well, he got to connect with Italians, but we need him at least for short term. Now, I don't know if Kanan was more so shocked about them saying that they need him because of the Italians or the short term part. I would say it's a mixture of both, but I also think with the short-term situation, he's thinking like, what do you mean short-term? Because typically you just don't use no one in the game and they just up and leave. Like when you start doing business with them, unless somebody takes them out, you continue to do business with them. So maybe that's what caught him off guard, but he kind of looked at them like, what the hell? And I also think they was like, he was saying, you're lying, because I believe he said at the table, Pops and Snaps said they had their own connection. They have their own connection. So what do you need Neek for? So hopefully Kanan starts to figure it out that he done got played by this old couple and he snaps out of it before it's too late. Let's hope. But we clearly know even in the first Power, he lets his emotions get to him even when he's a grown-ass man. So with that being said, you guys let me know what y'all think about that. But we find out that Phil, I guess, realizes or finds out that he did not off Stefano. Stefano is in the hospital and he looks a little shook. Neek is over there talking to him and Phil is like, look, I had my moment and I missed my mark. So do whatever you need to do. Pretty much giving him permission to do a freaking Scarface. Meanwhile, though, Juke and Marvin talk. And Marvin, of course, is already pissed off at Rock. But Juke talks about Rock and saying, Kanan thinks that Rock took out Fame and Crystal. And Marvin was like, hell no, that ain't true. He was like, I know a lot of stuff is going on, but that definitely ain't happening. And Juke kind of, I guess at that point is realizing like, yeah, maybe I am tripping. But with that, Rock is at her house. And again, does anyone notice that she doesn't have security around her house either? It's amazing that when people threaten your family and your life and livelihood, and you're a part of that game, that you wouldn't have the same type of security that you possibly had before. But okay. Meanwhile, Garcia ends up approaching Kanan about Crystal. And of course, his eyes completely light up like, what do you have to tell me about Crystal? Of course, he's going to tell Kanan that they saw a black woman leaving the apartment. Meanwhile, Uncle Marvin, who's Uncle Marvin right now, sends his blonde niecey poo off to her new home. And she looks as if this is going to be the last time she sees Marvin too. And she looks also scared at the same time. I have a feeling that little girl gonna talk. I have a feeling she's gonna talk. Somewhere down the line, she's definitely gonna talk, or something's gonna happen to her. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But with that being said, Neek ends up mounting up with all of his soldiers. All you hear is the click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, all up in the freaking store. So he's ready to go. He's actually excited to get this popping ASAP. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, Lou ends up taking Pernessa and Neek's son. Okay. He takes them and clearly he's about to hold them hostage. So we're going to see what happens with that. Or maybe not. Maybe he actually going to take them out by the next season. What do y'all think? He going to hold them hostage to tell Neek to back off? Or at this point, all bets are off and he's going to completely take them out? It ain't like he ain't never did it before. He's definitely done that to a minor before. So I would say he's definitely capable of doing it again. Juke tries to convince Kanan that he doesn't know if Rock is the one who offed Crystal, offed Fame. This fool is so emotional, he ends up pointing the pow pow at Juke. And again, Juke, inner demon, her eyes start popping because she's like, oh, I know you didn't. Like, do you realize that I am a serial iller up in this bad boy? And he's like, if you're not with me, you're against me, and ends up walking out. Meanwhile, Juke gets on the phone. Now, interesting enough, Marvin ends up going, I don't know where the hell he was going. I don't know if he was trying to get gas or what he was doing. But what we do know is that someone pulls up and several people start pow-powing at him with machine pow-pows, regular ones. Like, I mean, several options out of that car. Now, interesting enough, no one gets hit. How is that even possible? But the main person who don't get hit is Marvin. He doesn't get hit at all. He's able to hide behind his freaking car. And then when they drive off, he ends up doing his little pow pow. But of course, he's trying to figure out who was trying to off him. My guess is that he's probably going to maybe think it was his sister. He's probably not going to even think it's Unique. Because remember, he wasn't at that actual meeting. Lou was. And his last exchange was a heated conversation with his sister. So he's probably going to think it was Rock who did it. All right. Meanwhile, Rock is on the phone. Kanan comes from behind and pretty much says, why did you off Crystal? And she gets off the phone and she's like, off who? Who are you talking about? Off Crystal. Why did you have to off her? And she was like, I didn't do that. He was like, BS, you did it. And so at that point, she was like, what do I have to gain by doing that? What do I have to gain by doing any of this stuff? And he said, because you want me only for you. You don't want me to be around anybody else. You want me only for you. Everything you've pretty much done has been about you. And she was like, I'm putting that on your life. And you are everything to me that I didn't do this. And he was like, you don't love me. You don't care about me. So I finally need to just do this. And the way she was looking, she was just like, this fool really looks like he wants to off me. But at one point, it looks like she makes peace with it. She closes her eyes and he raises the pow pow. And then next thing you know, it goes black and you hear a pow pow, the noise. And then the episode goes off. And I'm pissed. That's the end. That's the end of your season finale. This is your season finale, and you only have one more season, and it's over. That is the end. They played us. They made it seem like this was about to be the ultimate, like, crash out. This was about to be a shoot 'em up, bang, bang. None of that happened, okay? None of it happened. No one was actually taken out this episode. Now that I think about it, no one. So I don't know if the writers are trying to make sure that all of these actors have jobs because it's hard out here for a pimp. And after the strike, we want to make sure that people had their money. But I would say for me, it was underwhelming. So I'm about to put a poll out here and y'all let me know. Do you feel the series finale was a great send-off? Let me see. Was a great show. I'll just say a great show because sadly, some people don't know what a send-off is. Do you feel the series finale was a great show? All right. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Do you feel it was a great show tonight. I don't. I really don't. I feel like that was the worst cliffhanger ever. I feel like, and again, I know that a lot of times they want to keep us excited because for whatever reason, our sick, twisted minds, we like to actually have someone go out, especially with the lifestyle that they was living. But considering the fact that none of that happened, everybody's storyline has some type of cliffhanger and we got no resolve for what happened this whole entire season. Yeah, I'm a little pissed. I'm trying to figure out why everybody's able to get by. Y'all help me understand how was that even possible? That's why I had to do this review tonight because I am confused. I need to know if other people feel the same way. I need to know how you guys feel about this actual season. The season, but also the finale. I think they could have did a better job. After the last three, it was like 3 episodes that were fire. I'm looking at this episode like, have you lost your freaking mind? It was just like all talk, no action. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody gets like freaking 9 lives like a cat. I mean, Marvin is going around pow-powing everything that can move and nothing has happened to him yet. You know what I'm saying? At least he could have sat up there and gotten, possibly a little slug in his neck or something like that. Kind of like when they did at the projects and he ended up getting hit and we was like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen to him or whatever the case may be. None of that. And it was virtually impossible for no one to get hit when that car approached him. He had nothing blocking him when they started pow-powing. So how did he even... His pinky toe didn't even get shot off. Nothing happened to him. So, yeah, I'm going to drink my dark rum. And I'm going to pretend like this episode didn't happen. And I am just hoping that episode 8 and 9, because those were great episodes, they have those type of episodes throughout season 5. Because this, in my opinion, was quite annoying how they handled this situation. It just, to me, they was just like, we about to play all of them. We about to psych them out. There is no need for anybody to go. I don't even feel like I'm excited for the next season because I feel like this cliffhanger was corny. We know Rock is not going anywhere. They're not about to get rid of Rock before season 5 even starts. It's just not going to happen. So why even give us that cliffhanger? It's not realistic for the show. So y'all let me know what y'all think. I wanted to make sure I talked about it tonight. I know some of you guys are probably asleep. So when y'all wake up in the morning, we could talk about it. Y'all let me know because this is some BS. I did not like it. If I had to rate this actual episode, I would rate it a C-. If I had to rate this whole entire season, I would give it a C. And the only reason why is because the last couple of episodes before this episode was pretty good, which is why I'm disappointed that the series finale is, I keep saying series finale, the season finale was horrible for me. Oh, someone said yes. They said they felt like it was a great show. Hey, you can definitely have your opinion. That's why I love to hear difference of opinions, as long as you're respectful. But hey, maybe you thought it was great. I thought it was a waste of my time. We got no answers. We didn't. We got no answers. All we have is we just have to wait until next season. And yeah, the cliffhanger could have been much better. Much better. And at this point, I'm just rolling my eyes because, like I said, they're not going to off Rock. So what was even the point of that cliffhanger? What was the point of it? Because we know she's going to be there until the end. We know she is a main character. Raising Kanan is about Rock raising Kanan. she's not leaving by the end of season 4. That makes no sense. It doesn't. But a lot of things don't make any sense in the Power universe. So with that being said, you guys, let's continue the conversation below. Y'all let me know what you think. If you feel like it was an amazing freaking episode, tell me why. Maybe I'm missing some golden nuggets, but what I do know is the ending that they gave is just not realistic for the show. It's not. If you really try to off Rock at the end of this season, you're going to lose your audience. You're going to lose a good amount of your audience if Rock is not there. So there's no way. So again, seems like somebody got a little lazy when it came to the cliffhanger in this. I was not on the freaking edge of my seat trying to figure out what's going on. I kind of sat back and said, what the F was this? What just happened? They were better off leaving episode 9 as the season finale. Episode 9 would have been a great season finale. And that just would have been it. But with that being said, you guys, let's continue the conversation. Please let me know what you guys think. I want you guys to give me your feedback on it. Do you feel it was a great season? Do you feel it was a great season finale? And if so, why? Y'all let me know. We can definitely have a healthy debate, a healthy dialogue about it. And with that being said, if there are any other shows that you guys would like for me to review, by all means, please let me know. I don't think I'm gonna do BMF. They lost me last season, but again, we'll have to see. But with that being said, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.